Hey, welcome. My name's James. There are 5 key areas to be aware of in the process of recovering from any kind of emotionally manipulative, narcissistic or toxic relationship. If you've been that person, that victim, if you've been codependent, if you've been controlled and manipulated, then there are 5 things to be aware of, to watch out for, to aim for on your recovery journey. Now, these 5 things, they don't run one after the other. It's not like you complete one and move on to the next one. The 5 things, they kind of happen concurrently, simultaneously. But it may be that one aspect of the other is somewhere you focus for a little while. Maybe that one aspect becomes a little bit stuck, and so you work on some of the others, and then that generally enables you to free up the other one, to make progress. And progress is the important thing here. This is all about progress, not perfection. This isn't something you're trying to complete, that you're trying to finish. It's something you're trying to get better, to improve. Progress, not perfection. It's all about the journey, not about the destination. And that way you'll maintain your motivation. You continue to develop, to grow, to recover, to get your life back. So what are these 5 areas? Well, I'll talk you through each one and give you a kind of a headline, helicopter view of what each one involves. And obviously with each of them you can go so much deeper and really expand, but we'll give you an idea of the framework. So this is a system that I've been using for quite a while. It's come out of a lot of experience with working with people, with coaching people, with helping people out of the very situation that you may be facing, that you may have found yourself in. The other thing I should say is that there's no timeline for this. There's no right or wrong. It takes as long as it takes. And anybody that tells you that you should be over it by now, that you should be finished by now, that you should be able to put all that behind you and move on, probably doesn't understand the complex nature of what it is that you've been through. It's a very individual journey. So when I say there is no time frame, it's different for everybody. It's a bit like grief. Saying that though, there is a process you can follow. There is a structure. There is an awareness you can have of these 5 areas, which can expedite the process, which can give you something to aim to progress along, so that you every day begin to feel a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit more confident. You find more ways to have your needs met. You become less and less reliant on that thing that you no longer want, that toxic relationship. Progress, not perfection. So there's a little the way I like to use to remind myself, to remind my clients of this, is the word arise, ARISE, because that's what you're doing. You're recovering, you're rebuilding, you're growing yourself, you're coming back up. It's time for you to arise and take your life back, to step into your power, to find your place in the world, to regain your sense of self. So what does all this mean? So 5 different phases, 5 different areas, 5 different places for you to begin to look at, to understand the work that you're going through. So the A, this is the acceptance phase. Now I should say straight off the bat that acceptance doesn't mean agreement. Acceptance of where you are doesn't mean you're happy with where you are, doesn't mean you're content with where you are, doesn't mean that things don't need to be different. What acceptance means is that you've taken stock of your life, that you've had an honest appraisal of where you're at, and that you've accepted that you're unhappy. You've accepted that there is something wrong. Now, we can't heal anything that we deny, and too often in a codependent, narcissistic type relationship, denial is a huge part of that, because your needs have been denied. Your reality has been denied, has been pushed down. Certain things, abusive behaviours, for example, have become normalised. And accepting that all of that has taken place, accepting that the truth that you've bought into was incorrect, accepting that this was a dysfunctional relationship, accepting that you have the power to control what you can control and that you can make things better. These are all important parts of the acceptance process. It's also accepting that they're not going to change, that they are who they are, that their redemption is down to them, it's not up to you. It's about accepting that within this dynamic, within this relationship, there's you and them, and you can only control you. You can only make you better. You can only look out for you, and accepting that you're worth the effort to do that for. Accept that you are worthy of better. Accept that you can make changes to find new relationships, to find new avenues of fulfillment, to make new friends, new connections, to grow yourself. Accept that you're worth all of those things. Accept that your responsibility is healing you. And accept that that's going to be difficult sometimes. Accept that progress isn't easy and straightforward. Sometimes there's plateaus, sometimes there's bumps in the road, sometimes there's setbacks. Accept that you're not going to get it right first time, or even second time. Accept that some days there's going to be challenges. Accept that some days you're going to make mistakes. But accept that all of that is part of the process and that it's worth doing. And when you begin to accept all of these things, when you own your reality, when you look at the world around you that you're part of and realise that there's bits of it that you're unhappy with, accept that it's your responsibility to change those things. Accept that you can change those things. Acceptance. Not agreement. Acceptance. Own your reality. R is about release. It's about letting go. And during the course of your toxic relationship, during the course of the abuse that you've received, you're going to have taken on a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of emotional wounds, a lot of emotional confusion. There's going to be guilt, shame, anger, regret, remorse, frustration, sadness. All of those emotions are going to be bubbling away inside, and it's very easy to focus in on them, to allow them to dominate, to let them spiral you down into depression and anxiety and loss. There's also an awful lot of rules that have been applied to you, a lot of beliefs, a lot of expectations that have been reinforced and used as manipulation over the years, maybe even the decades that you've been within that codependent, toxic, narcissistic relationship. And the release is about letting go of all of that. It's about recognising what it is that actually serves you and what doesn't. What keeps you trapped and what is enabling you to move forward. And releasing anything that's keeping you trapped. And doing the work to dial down and to repair the stress, the PTSD, the anxiety. Releasing all of that stress. When people have been through an abusive, traumatic relationship, the body's primed for threat response. There's an overstimulation, there's a huge level of cortisol in the system, the stress hormone. There's a lot of tension in the body. All of these things, they're not serving you anymore. And enabling your body to release some of that stress, to let go of that tension, to make yourself feel safe, to allow yourself, to give yourself permission to feel safe, is a huge release, and it's such an important part of the process. I is for identity. Who are you? Now, for a long time, the answer to that may have been defined as your relationship. Who were you? You were the other half. You were the codependent. You were part of that relationship. And those identity labels can be difficult to break down. They can be difficult to realign, to reimagine, to recreate. So who are you now? And who would you like to become? What's your identity going to look like when you've recovered? Who are you going to be? How do you create that? Now, your identity, the person who you are, is, again, such an important key area in recovery. Because you get to choose that. You get to decide who you're going to be. And that can be a frightening thought, because it may be the first time in a very long time that you're free to do that. You're free to explore who you want to be and how you want to live your life and what you want to be known for and the identity labels that you want to ascribe to, where you want to find belonging and connection. Because a lot of that's been taken away from you. A lot of that's been stripped back. A lot of it's been denied and repressed and suppressed. And you've assumed identity labels that have been put upon you, rather than that you've picked for yourself. And finding that true core identity of who you are, who you really want to be now and for the rest of your life, can create some enormous positive personal shifts. When you strip it back and analyse your core values and your core needs, and you make a couple of positive statements around who you're no longer willing to be and who you're going to aspire to become. Identity is such an important area to focus upon. One watch out here is that people try and go back. Much the same as with grief, or when they break up a relationship, they want to try and get things back. I want to get back to how I was. I want things to be as they were. I want to be that person that I was back then. And this is where the acceptance part comes back in, is that person doesn't exist anymore. Things have changed, you've changed, the world's changed, society's changed, culture's changed. Point your energy in the right direction. People spend years, decades trying to go back, get back to where they were. And the danger of that is that you neglect to look forward and see who you could become. Face forward. Create a new identity, a new empowered identity. And notice what begins to happen. S is for setting. Now, an awful lot is talked about boundaries, about setting healthy boundaries, establishing them, enforcing them. And boundaries are a huge part of you protecting your identity, of you becoming the person you want to become, of you stopping yourself from going back into old habits. Setting boundaries, the ability to set them, to understand what boundaries are and the different forms they take, whether they're emotional boundaries, whether they're physical boundaries, whether they're spiritual boundaries. Setting those boundaries and enforcing them is how you're going to find structure and order in your life. It's how you're going to create and protect that new version of you. But setting is also about setting your intentions, deciding who you're going to be, deciding what you're going to allow in your life, setting aspirations, setting goals. One of the most liberating processes that you can go through in your recovery journey is to set yourself some goals, set yourself some aspirations, things that you're going to achieve for yourself, things that you've always wanted to do. And it doesn't matter how small they are, how grand they are, but do them, achieve them. Teach yourself that you're worth making the effort to achieve something for. Teach yourself that you can take control of your life, that you can choose the direction to go in, and that you can achieve something. Remind yourself of what that feels like. Remind yourself that you matter. Setting goals is so important to your personal growth, to your reclaiming who you are, to finding a new version of you, a better version of you, a happier, more fulfilled version of you. E is for empowerment. It's about taking your power back. It's about recognizing all those parts that you do have control over. It's about owning your reality and taking control of your life and moving it in the direction that you choose. It's about realizing that you've given away a lot of that power, a lot of that control, a lot of that focus, a lot of that direction. You've given away a lot of yourself. And as you begin to recover and you begin to take some of that back, as you begin to make decisions for yourself, and notice how good that feels to be able to choose the life you want, to be able to be free, to find fulfillment in the ways that you choose. That's empowerment. Of being certain in who you are, of gaining confidence, of growing your world through acceptance, through release, through focusing on your identity, through setting goals and boundaries to structure and order your life and create the life you want. All of those things are empowering. And as you work out who you really are and what you want from your life, and then you go and you start to achieve that, this sense of empowerment can begin to grow. And you remind yourself that you are worthy, that you're worth the effort it takes to achieve those things. And you remind yourself that you can do it, you're enough. You have all the skills that you need. And if you don't, you can learn them. And when you are in a position of empowerment, when you have more control and self-determination and direction in your life, and you know that the things you can do and the things you can't do, this helps protect you against falling back into that place of vulnerability again. Because empowerment is like the opposite of vulnerability. When you have certainty and self-awareness and clarity of who you are and what you want and how to do it, then you're less likely to be victim of emotional manipulation, of gaslighting. You're less likely to spend all that time in self-doubt and second-guessing and confusion, because you know who you are and you know what you want, and you can embody all of those things, and you know how to embody those things in your life, how to live up to your core values, how to find and meet your needs healthily. And as you embody that and as you allow that to empower you, you naturally grow in confidence. You naturally grow in self-belief. And all of those things are worth pursuing. So 5 key areas that if you place your attention on, if you place your intentions around them, if you become aware of all of those things, and if you find that you're stuck in one particular area or another, get help. Ask for assistance. Reach out. You're worth helping, and you're worth investing in. Teach yourself that you're worth that, because for a long time you've probably been told that you're not, that your values and needs don't matter, and you've been conditioned to believe that. But it's not true, because you do matter. You are worth the effort. You can build a life, a fantastic life that you're proud of. So accept what is. Accept the reality of the situation. Release all that stress, that tension, that hurt, that pain. And that's an ongoing process, and it may take a while, but it's worth doing. Build your new identity. Who do you want to be? Who do you no longer want to be? What's important to you? What would you be proud to become? Set goals, set boundaries, set some structure to your life, and enjoy that process as you begin to feel empowered to take control of your life, to do all those things you want to do. And the more empowered you become, the stronger the relationships that you will attract and that you will find. And as you do all of those things, enjoy it. Progress, not perfection. Enjoy the journey. Keep working. And if you do need any help or support with those areas, then reach out. All the usual avenues are available. And if you've enjoyed watching this video, then please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Appreciate any feedback. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your journey. Because healing is a process, it's a journey. It's not an event. So do the work and get to enjoy the results. Thanks for watching.